2025 did materialize some pretty good airdrops across the board with Aster, Meteora, Monad, and more. But in this video, I'm going to go over the airdrops that you need to be farming in 2026. I do think that this year will be a little bit more lucrative than last year's airdrops, given the fact that there are so many A-level projects going live with their tokens this year, and most of them have initiatives that are aiming towards airdrops for us, the users, the community, the people that actually dive into these products. So if you spend time in the market and spend time on some of these products, it could materialize into a few hundred, if not thousands of dollars if you do it right. So I'm going to go over every project you should be farming in 2026. Without further ado, let's jump into it. And before we get started, guys, as always, be sure to drop down below if you enjoy the content here on the channel and if you are ready to crush it in 2026 in crypto, prediction markets, etc. Be sure to like the videos down below and subscribe to the channel. 2026 is going to be a massive year, I think, for the crypto markets come about mid to late year. And on top of that, on this channel, we're going to deliver so much high quality value for you guys over the course of this year and really take this channel to the next level. So hit the like and subscribe. And on top of that, guys, a big shout out to our sponsors heading into 2026. We have some incredible sponsors from Kalshi, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, GRVT, Blowfin, etc. And I just want to give a big shout out today to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. In an ecosystem as hot as Binance Smart Chain was in late 2025, it's pretty commendable, I would say, that 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 has really asserted themselves as one of the absolute best AI projects on the Binance Smart Chain. You can do so much across their app. You can launch apps, you can launch games, images, 3D renderings for world building inside of games, etc. There's a lot you can do here on their platform, fully utilizing AI. And if you build a game that people actually participate in, you can get paid out on the back end for those users and for the stuff that they spend in your product. So definitely check out 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 down below in the description. And a big shout out to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 for sponsoring the show heading into 2026. Let's go ahead and dive into the airdrop scene. So like I said, this year was actually pretty good for airdrops. If you were in the trenches, we just had lighter to end the year, which was solid. Like if you were farming lighter, it turned out okay. It wasn't quite $150 a point like they were selling OTC. OTC means over the counter if you're new to crypto coming into 2026. But it wasn't quite that, but it was solid. I made a couple $1,000s off my lighter airdrop across a few wallets. So that was fantastic. Meteora, we crushed it. I think Meteora may have been the best airdrop of the year from an ROI perspective, considering we made money on their platform and then we just got a bunch of free tokens to be able to take profit on as well. So that was a big victory. Some people crushed it on stuff like Monad and different airdrops across the year. So 2025 was not too shabby, but I do think 2026 could be a lot better if we get Bitcoin movement around midterms, which I think we will. Look, I think Donald Trump, whenever it comes to midterms, he wants that approval rate set up for a Republican win. I'm not talking deep politics here, but when he was politicking to become the president, he was very pro-crypto because he knew the crypto people would get behind him. And I think he's going to do the exact same thing. He's going to try to manipulate, try to pump the market, give more rhetoric and tone towards crypto. Mid-year, we could see some tokens finally TGE and do their airdrops because of good market conditions. So what should you be on the lookout in 2026? Today we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 projects that I am going to give you to farm, and on top of that, how to get involved, right? What should you be doing on each of these platforms? And I'm going to give some honorable mentions. Look, I don't want to, I'm not going to tell you to go farm these because you should have already farmed them if you were participating in crypto in late 2024, early 2025. But maybe, fingers crossed, but I highly doubt it. Maybe we get a Photon token. Maybe we get a 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 airdrop. The 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 airdrop still hasn't happened. Maybe we get the BullX token or Axiom or something like that. But these meme coin platforms will probably delay as long as possible. So that's why I'm putting them in honorable mentions, and I would not go burn your money on meme coins. And on top of that, before we get started, none of this is financial advice. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about should actually be super low risk, and I'll talk about exactly how to maneuver each one of these. So let's just kick it off. Number one, and these are in no order of upside. These are just, I'm going to go kind of categorically. Number one, we're going to start with maybe the most mainstream protocol that we are still waiting on a token for, and that is OpenSea. So OpenSea, they will be coming out with their airdrop this year. They did announce that officially, and I think that, you know, if you haven't been farming this, just jump in here, click the little treasure chest on the top right, and you can see here the different tasks. You know, purchase any token, $5 minimum, buy an NFT from a collection on Abstract. It's super easy, and if you play this smart, you should break even or even make money. All right, don't go buy stupid stuff on OpenSea. Just utilize their tools, utilize the chest system, and just try to level up. Sometimes you'll get rewards that are worth more than you're spending as well. It's pretty simple. The rewards program here is, I think, you know, it's pretty straightforward. It's going to straight up tell you what to do. You can see here the reward pool, the things that are going to be given. You can see here this estimated pool value of $700,000. So definitely go check out OpenSea. I think that this is, if I'm going to rate these like 1 to 5 star, I'd say OpenSea is a 4-star. I don't think that people are going to get crazy airdrops unless you hardcore farmed this. If they did a ton of retroactive to wallets from 2021, I think things would be a little different, but they're definitely going to reward farmers currently who are active. So I would give this a 4-star on the upcoming airdrop list. Number 2, we have Abstract. Abstract, you know, Luca was on an interview and he said that he could drop Abstract at 3 billion day one, no problem, right? But he wants to launch at 10 billion. And in order to do that, he has to get the right people behind it, the right apps on top of Abstract. So I think that Abstract will TGE this year. They've had a lot of turnover in the marketing section and really bringing on people to build this the correct way in 2026. And they have amazing apps. Look, 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏, which is a prediction market that you can also farm. So I'm going to kind of 2-for-1 that. 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏 is kind of in the prediction market section as well. But nonetheless, you can farm a ton of different airdrops on the Abstract app. But what I would do in here, guys, is just come through, spend some time in these games. Play 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏. You can play for free on some of these games. Play Gigaverse, on-chain heroes. Just have some activity on the chain. If you are bullish on the Pudgy Penguin ecosystem and you hold Pengu tokens, send them over to Abstract. You get XP points every single week for different activities on the Abstract application, such as playing around with apps or just holding tokens on the Abstract chain. So your goal here should be just getting as much XP as humanly possible. So Abstract at number 2. I would put this at 3-star. I think it could be pretty saturated whenever it comes down to airdrop time period. I think a lot of Pudgy Penguin holders are going to expect a ton of airdrop. I'm going to put this at a 3-star airdrop for 2026. Number 3, and this could have been honorable mention, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it in here in the perp decks section, and that is Hyperliquid Season 2. So a lot of people have speculated, because of the tokenomics and the things that have been said in the roadmap, that there is going to be another airdrop round for Hyperliquid. Now, this will not be as lucrative as Season 1 for just early users on their perp decks, but you can see here the growth on their chain, and I think that this time around it's just going to simply reward people who are participating on the Hyper EVM side, which is their native layer 1 blockchain. So if I was a new participant and even just trying to have some activity on Hyper EVM, here's exactly what I would do. Really, there's only like one app that you can use that gives you activity across everything: swaps, LPs, bridging, etc. And that's Project X, which is also on the airdrop list here. So I'm going to do a 2-for-1 here. Hyperliquid Season 2, I would also put it like a 3-star. It could really crush it, or it could not even happen at all. So I'm going to put it as a 3-star priority, but I think Project X is a 4-star in itself. If you see here, over the last 24 hours, $65 million in volume. They've made $45,000. You know me, I love revenue-driving projects, and they have $56 million being staked across their platform, even in an uncertain market. You can LP tokens here, as you can see, to make yield off different pairs, but you can also do cross-chain swaps. Any chain, anywhere. And all of this will count towards your airdrop points on Project X. So if you want Hyperliquid EVM exposure, I'm going to drop the link to all of these, by the way. You'll be able to find every single airdrop link we talk about in this video down below in the description. But I would check out Project X. It is literally one of the fastest cross-chain bridges in all of crypto. And every single swap, even if it's not native to Hyperliquid, will give you activity on Project X. And if you have Hyper EVM activity over here, that will accrue towards Hyperliquid. So I'm going to put Project X at a 4-star potential for airdrop in 2026. Let's move on to other perp dexes here. And these are one of our sponsors on the channel, but nonetheless, it would make my list. And in TTOO, my NFT collection, the logo's up here. Entry for that right now is dirt cheap as well because NFTs are just down bad. But we have an airdrop specialist in there who's absolutely crushing it. And GRVT has been on his list for quite some time. And this is on ZK-Sync, and it's their official perp dex. It's very well funded. I think they raised $30 million. They are a sponsor on the channel, so take it with a grain of salt if you want to. But the airdrop specialist we have in our server has been calling this out for quite some time. On these perp dexes, just go in. You could throw in $50. Don't go put your whole portfolio in these perp dexes in order to farm and then lose your portfolio. You can literally spread $100 onto 5 different perp dexes, put in super small leverage trades, wherever the market's going, whatever the case is, a 2x, 3x leverage, very small part of your deposit. And the link that you have those trades open, you will accrue airdrop points. Don't go balls to the wall. My Lighter airdrop, I got like $3,000 for free from Lighter. I only deposited like 89 bucks. I used a spare wallet. I had like $89 in USDT. I deposited it and I put in a leverage trade for like 50 on a short a long time ago when the market was really tanking after August. And I accrued tons of points for just having that trade open for a long time. And I got, $2,500, $3,000 in tokens just for basically the smallest of volume and activity, but I never closed that trade. I think the trade's still open on Lighter, for example. So look, low amount, low leverage on these perp dexes, and you could easily farm points for these airdrops. And something like a GRVT, they're very well funded. Something like EdgeX, this is another one, really hyped perp dex that has a token on the horizon. Same kind of thing. Deposit $50, $100, put in a small leverage trade and just leave it open, where your stop loss is going to be in the 60s if you're longing, or if you're shorting, where your stop loss is at like 120,000, right? You can make this happen if you just deposit 100, maybe risk $20 on a 3x leverage trade. And you'll be able to keep that open for the foreseeable future, and they reward long-term positions. So definitely would be looking at GRVT and EdgeX. Just spread a couple $100 on these different things, trade on them occasionally, leave a long-term trade open, and you'll qualify for these airdrops. I'm a living testament because I did it with Lighter and it turned out pretty well over the last, at this point, like 6 months since I started farming Lighter. And I'll give an honorable mention to Aster. Look, Aster, they already did their main airdrop, but they are still doing seasonal airdrops. So what we'll do, we'll also leave a link in the description for Aster, as well as our GRVT link, which is official through the channel as well. So you can get to farming these different perp dexes. Moving on in categories. Stablecoin yield. This one's really easy. It's on Solana. It's just stablecoin yield farming. And as you can see here, whenever it goes back, you can get a few percentages just on depositing stablecoins. Right now, the APY is 12.5%. So institutional level yields right here on Solstice. Pretty simple. It's built on Solana. If you have stablecoins on Solana that you want to put to work, go ahead, deposit. They have 2 different stablecoin options, and you'll be able to read up and get involved. I've had staked here for 3 months at this point in time, 4 months, and I'm earning a ton of flares just for having a good amount staked here, especially as the market's tanked. People are leaving. They're unstaking. They need their capital. So it's a great time to do some stablecoin yield farming, and I think that they're going to have a pretty solid airdrop, especially for the fact that even if you get a couple thousand flares, you're in like the top 1% of farmers. So definitely one that if you just want to put some stable coins to work, I would look into this application. I'll leave a link down below for this as well. Now moving into a little more complex with prediction markets. We have Kalshi and Polymarket. I think also pretty straightforward here. They're going to reward volume. I think the more volume you do here, the better. We have weekly and multi times a week, we do prediction market videos and live streams. So if you want to farm these airdrops, either pick a specialty. You can trade on politics, culture, crypto, music, film, sports, whatever the case is, and just try to be smart. Don't burn your capital in these things. If you want to farm this alongside me, you can just join the streams every single week. We go over live plays, we trade Trump speeches, we trade sports markets, different mentions, culture, etc. So if you want to farm these literally right alongside us, you can join in on the live streams. And on top of that, we do have Kalshi is an official sponsor here on the channel. And we have an offer down below. If you sign up and trade $10, all you have to do is deposit and trade 10. They'll give you $10 for free. So they'll double your account if you trade $10 using the link down below in the description. On top of that, Polymarket is native, built on Polygon. That's why it's called Polymarket. So definitely another one you can go farm. They have tons of options. Kalshi and Polymarket are obviously the category leaders here as the two highest valuation products. And Kalshi's really leaning into crypto over the last few months. So definitely ones to keep on your radar. Just go put some trades in, but be smart, please. You can treat it like investment, or some people will go burn all their stack like it's gambling and then complain. It is not gambling if you do the research on these different markets. So Kalshi link down below in the description. But on top of that, there's some crypto native prediction markets that have a lot of potential. Number one, Predict. So this is on Binance Smart Chain. Dingaling CZ has publicly, tweeted about this as well. You can see it's a pretty clean platform, very crypto native. It's actually completely crypto native if we just go look at the markets as well. They have a lot of comparable stuff to Polymarket, Kalshi. Not as much offerings, but still a pretty impressive lineup of offerings here on Predict.FUN. But you might already qualify for an airdrop. So if you log in with your wallet, there is a points section, and you might already have points there. But nonetheless, same kind of thing. If you put volume through here, I think you will have easy opportunities at getting an airdrop. And then one that's early market right now is Space. This is on Solana. So Predict.FUN is on Binance Smart Chain. Space is on Solana. This one's still private, so whenever this does go live, I think that the people will be able to farm the airdrop very nicely on the Space platform. They are looking to be the first leverage prediction market. So that's a pretty interesting concept whenever it comes to like leverage predictions. We've never seen that before. If they were able to pull that off, I think they'll have crazy market share in the long haul. Next up on the list is Yeet. Now, in all those prediction market ones, I would say Kalshi Polymarket 5-star. I would say Predict.FUN 3-star, Space 3-star, Solstice 4-star because it's stablecoin yield, very low risk. 𝗔𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗘 4-star. I think that they're both very well funded and will do a good job of distributing to their holders. So that's my updated ranking on the star rankings there. Maybe the riskiest on the list, so I want people to take that with a grain of salt. This is Yeet. It is literally on-chain casino. Like, that's exactly what this is. However, Shuffle had one of the biggest airdrops to date in crypto. Shuffle, they gave out hundreds of thousands of dollars to their early users. And there's a strategy. I can't pull up the website due to YouTube restrictions, but if you go to yeet.com and you play a certain game, I'm not going to name a game, deposit $25. You play a certain game. You can roll $50 or 50 cents on an auto bet. You can set 10,000 auto bets for 50 cents. And if you play the right game, I can't give the strategy here, and I'll talk about it in my Discord groups and stuff like that. If you play the right game and set it to the right amount, you will not run out of that funding for a while. Like I ran up $35,000 in volume off like $120 of total deposits. And that put me in a pretty good position on the leaderboard, all from auto betting. I would just put my computer at 50% or 50 cent auto bet, leave the computer, and come back, and I would do 10,000 spins, and it would run me 5,000 in volume over like 2 hours, and I'd still have, sometimes I'd be up, sometimes I'd be down, but whatever the case is, it never exhausted my bankroll. So very easy way to farm this. And because it is quote unquote 𝗕𝗚𝗏𝗧, I think this can be pretty lucrative for those who farm volume. I'm going to say 3-star because there is more risk inherently than a lot of other platforms that we've talked about. But I think the upside here is tremendous if you play this right. On the next one here, we have football.fun, aka sport.fun. They have announced their fun token. They were over allocated on their pre-sale. Base chain is completely behind this application. This one's easy. If you're a fantasy football fan or a fantasy soccer fan, you watch games on the weekends, you just buy shares of different players based off their performance. You can see here, tournament this weekend, they're giving away 4.7 million points. Those points go towards packs. You open up the packs, you earn players of value. You can trade in and out of players based off their performance. It's pretty simple and straightforward, and if you're a sports fan, this is definitely one to check out. I'll leave a link in the description, like I said, for all of this stuff down below, but this one's straightforward. If you're a sports fan, like I said, once again, throw $100 in here, play around with it, trade in and out of players. You can get free packs if you just compete and win. Some of your players are on the leaderboard, etc. So check out sport.fun. I would say this is 3-star as well. Given the fact that it's so niche, sports, on-chain, fantasy, I'm going to give it 3 because I don't know how high of a cap that can have. But with base chain supporting it, I wouldn't be surprised if this does very, very well. And then the last 2 here are gaming. Now, in the past few years, there's been a lot of gaming airdrops that we could have tried to farm. Most of them wouldn't have materialized, but these 2 I think will. Z.INK is the SVM Layer 1 by Star Atlas. So Star Atlas, their on-chain game, Sage Labs, has done more transactions than I think it's like 87% of blockchains ever have. Like, they have really crushed it as far as dominating the on-chain space on gaming on Solana. And now they're going to move this all the way over to their own SVM powered by Solana, but it is in-house by Star Atlas. You can farm this right now. If you like Star Atlas, if you play their games and their ecosystems, sign up and then just literally jump in, play games, complete tasks. I think that this airdrop is going to be very, very under-farmed, considering the fact that gaming is just in a bad spot. But I do think Z.INK will have a very high upside for those who do farm this. I'm gonna give it a 3.54 out of 5 stars. I think that because it's gaming, it literally can't have a 5-star. But I think potential-wise, how under-farmed it is, under-talked about, how well-funded Star Atlas is, and it's a full-blown blockchain built off their ecosystem, I'd say 3.5 to 5-star potential here. And then last but certainly not least is Galaxia. So Galaxia, there's not much details on exactly how to farm this yet because the token is widely really early right now, but this is an interesting ecosystem. They're bringing in 200 influencers as co-owners, as you can see here, of their ecosystem, and they basically, it's a player-owned economy, which is going to be very interesting to see. And in this ecosystem, when the game does go, further stages into public, etc., I think you'll be able to complete tasks on the Galaxia website and be able to qualify for some tokens. This is the one that's the most unknown, but I think in gaming has a ton of potential. I would give this also a 3.5 to 4 out of 5. It's gaming, so you have to cap expectations, but they are doing a lot of different things that projects haven't tried in the past, and I think that alone is commendable and probably worth diving into if you're still into the gaming space. So as you can see, I think that this is going to be a pretty fruitful year for airdrops if you play this correctly. I'll leave links to as many of these as possible down below in the description, and I appreciate you guys, as always, heading into 2026. We really want to ramp up the content here, dial in the information, and make sure we come out 2026, on top. I think 2025 was a rough year for everyone. There's not a channel. I'll give it to a couple people. 𝗕𝗏𝗴𝗲, another banter host, he called the last 6 months very well. And if you're not watching his channel, 100X Club on YouTube, he's been very sharp as far as short-term swings, when the market's going to top, when it's going to bottom. Absolutely killer year from 𝗕𝗏𝗴𝗲. So I definitely want to give him a big shout out there. And otherwise, everyone had a rough year. It was not an easy year in crypto. Government shutdown. Rates just started getting cut. Trump kind of abandoned us mid-year. Trump coin killed the momentum early in the year. Like, it was just a really difficult market to navigate. I think 2026 will be a greener pasture, to say the least. So like the video down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on Monday, kicking off a fresh slate of content heading into the year. As always, stay bullish, my friends. Trade responsibly and play well, my friends.